Hello all, welcome back. So good to connect with you all again after quite a long time. So in this
Third episode, we are going to see our next set
set
of
of questions and the relevant answers. Now let's not waste any time further and just get into the questions. So these are the 5 questions that we will be discussing here today altogether. And let me just read it out for you. What is table maintenance generator and what are its relevant T codes? What are TMG events and how we can find them? Different T codes to view tables. Difference between client dependent and client independent, which is also called as transport dependent and transport independent. And the last but not the least, the practical use of TR and TOC. Now, before we jump on to the answers, let me explain you a small concepts about TMG. I have created this table exclusively for explaining the table maintenance generator. We will have another video where I explain the creation of table, but however here I'm only intend to explain the table maintenance generator. So to reach out to the table maintenance generator, this is the path. You go to more, you go to utilities, and then you go to table maintenance generator. So what is a table maintenance generator? So the table maintenance generator, in other words, is it will help you in maintaining the data of the table. Now, for example, when you maintain the data of the table, you can use either a single screen or a double screen, which is how it's designed here. In our case, I'm using a single screen, and there are different authorization objects that we can assign so that we can ensure who can maintain the entries, etc. stuffs. So all this part that assists, or in other words, that helps in maintaining the data in the table is called a table maintenance generator. Now, while maintaining the entries in the table, there are certain actions that user may prefer. For example, before saving a particular data in the table, the user may expect certain actions to happen default, or while saving, or after saving, or when deleting an entry. So based upon the operations that happens on the table, there can be certain business requirements that is expected to happen in default. Now, for example, in our case, you see there is a field called entry date and entry time. So our requirement here is would be I wanted to default this entry date and time based upon whenever these values are maintained, whatever the date it was on that day and whatever the time it is, it has to get defaulted while we maintain the entries. So for that, how are we going it? So first thing, as a first step, you go and you maintain the table maintenance generator. And once you have maintained the table maintenance generator, you have to go to the events. So this is how you navigate to the events: environment, modification, and events. So as soon as you get into the events, you will have the data you will have this particular screen. Now, whenever you want to create any new entries, for example here, there are different events. Now, what are all the events that you can see here? Just press F4 on this particular screen. So you will be displayed with all the events that are available with table maintenance generator. So here, as you can see, before saving the data in the database, after saving the data in the database, before deleting the data and displayed, after deleting the data is displayed, creating a new entry. So these are all the different events on which your expected code can trigger. Now in our case, I have used 05, that is, whenever I create a new entry, I wanted the date and time to get defaulted. So I have created this new entry, and here is a form routine that I have already written for you just to save time. So what is the code I have written inside? It's pretty simple, straightforward. This is the table name, this is the field name, and I'm defaulting it with system date. And again here I'm defaulting it with system time. That's it. So this is one of the event that I've used in the table maintenance generator of a particular table. Okay, now let's see what happens. Now here, this is a table. Now let me go to SM30. SM30 is the transaction where I can go and maintain entries. Now I click on maintain. Now, since I've given a single screen maintenance, I will get opened with just one screen. When I click on new entries, the same screen will open. Now for example, consider I'm maintaining a data called 1234 and the character name is test 1. Now, as soon as I press enter, you see the date and time fields are now empty. As soon as I press enter, you see the date and time fields gets populated. So this is based upon the value that have the code that I have written in the TMG event while creating a new entry. So just I save this and you come back and you will see the date and time gets stored automatically. Although I have not written, although I have not maintained it properly, I have not maintained it. The code I have written on the events gets these values by default. So this is the help that table maintenance generator events does for us. And this is how the TMG, the table maintenance generator itself, helps us in both maintaining the data And also in designing the screens while maintaining the data. Along with that, it also assists with certain kind of defaulting the values or many other business operations based upon the events that you maintain. Okay, so now quickly let me get back to the slide. So the first question, what is table maintenance generator and what are its relevant T codes? I have just explained you what is a table maintenance generator. It helps in maintaining the data, and the relevant T codes are, for example, now I have gone through a menu bar wherein utilities, table maintenance generator, I reached out to there. In case you don't want to get into the table and you want to do it on your own, these are all the different T codes that's used. SE54 to create, 55 to change, 56 to display, and 57 to delete. And SM30, yes, it's used for maintaining the data in the table. Okay, that's usually based upon the TMG, how you have defined, whether it's a single screen or multiple screen, whether you have provided authorization, etc. stuffs. Moving on to the second question, what are TMG events and how we can find them? I just showed you. These are the events that supports data maintenance and gets triggered while maintaining entries in the table. So based upon the different business applications, appropriate TMG events can be used. In our case, we just used creating new entry. Moving on to the third question, different T codes to view tables. Yeah, it's pretty simple, straightforward. So there are different ways you can view a particular table. Now let us take the same table that we have created for the table maintenance generator. One is S11, wherein you can go, you can click on display, and you can view the table. And another way of viewing the table is SE16. It's again another way. It's again another older T code where you can go and see the table contents directly. The best, or in other words, the most favorite for me is SE16N. Any transaction that ends with N is called as an enjoy transaction, and basically they are used for to ensure the customer engagement with that, or the user engagement with these tables is quite user friendly. Okay, here you can directly go here and you can check for entries and whatnot. These are the entries that we have maintained. And yes, SE16 is mostly preferred by many users who are end users as well, because it's quite easy. So that's what I have written here. All transactions ending with the N are called enjoy transactions, and they are designed for user-friendly approach while working with SAP screens. Now moving on, the difference between a client transport dependent and client transport independent. Okay, any object that is created in one client and it is readily available in other clients of the system are called as client independent. Now for example, consider I have two different clients. In a development system, I have 100 and 120. What happens? Whatever program you write in the client 100 will be available in 120. You don't have to go and write it again in 120 client, because these objects like the programs, the tables, whatever you create, and many other objects in our SAP ABAP environment are client independent. So they get created in your development clients and are readily available in other clients as well. Like when you create it in your development client, it gets itself, it replicates in the other clients as well, and your data, or in other words, your program lines, your tables will be available in other clients as well. Usually the workbench TRs that helps in transporting these objects, like the workbench TRs are the one wherever these are the kind of TRs which holds these kind of objects. Now objects that needs to be individually created or maintained in each client are called as client dependent. For example, the configuration changes, or in fact whenever you maintain an entry in a table, they are all client dependent. Okay, the customizing TRs are the one which helps with the client dependent objects. Okay, so in short, one liner, client independent ensures whatever you maintain on a particular client is available on all other clients of the same system. Client dependent are the ones which needs to be maintained individually in each of the clients to reflect. So client independent objects are supported by workbench TRs, and client dependent objects are supported by customizing TRs. Okay, now let's move on. Last but not the least, practical use of TR and TOC. TRs by default helps in loading the objects and then transporting across. Right? Whenever you develop an object in SAP ABAP, the TRs helps in transporting the object from one system to another system. Then what is the use of TOC? TOC is nothing but it creates a replica of your TR. It helps in copying all the objects that are present in a TR and move it only until quality system without the need of TR. So TOC is nothing but you create a TR, you create a TR and then you have set of objects inside it. Now you cannot, for transporting a TR, you may have to release it and move it across all systems. In case you wanted to test something in the quality system and then use the same TR to capture the changes again as part of the testing, and then use a single TR until the object is finally tested and approved for TR movement. In those cases, we make use of TOC, because there are certain instances where the development system will not have enough data to test the object, but quality system will have. So in that case, you cannot create multiple TRs wherein you can move multiple TRs to quality system and then you test it in quality. Again, for next correction, you move another TR. Just to avoid redundant TRs creation, the TOC concept is used. What does TOC does? It gets created, and when you create a TOC, you can add the tasks that are present inside a TR, so that all the objects that are present in a TR is now copied to a TOC. So TOC helps in copying of all the objects in a TR and then moving it only until quality system. That's very important. Okay, so once it's moved onto the quality system, all the changes what you have captured as part of the TR will be present in your quality system, and then they will test it. And once tested, if it is all good, okay. If not, they may give, there may be some corrections. You do it under again another TR, again create another TOC and move it across to quality system. So this helps in reduced TR creations. Important point: TOCs can never be moved to production, unlike TRs, which can reach until production system. Mainly the redundant TR creations for some of the clients, it's not accepted. So that's the reason we make use of TOC. And also TOC helps us in many other purposes, like all the objects get captured easily, and you can as a developer, you can yourself move it to quality and test it at your end itself without the need for basis consultant where they release the TR. Sometimes basis does the TOC's movement as well. So this is the concept, this is the practical use of a TR and TOC. I hope all these 5 questions is helpful for you. Thank you, and see you soon on another video. Thank you.